You might be asking yourself, friends, or even family, why are relationships so dang hard? When things go wrong in a relationship, we usually say, we don't know what happened. Or we might say, we don't know what went wrong. But what we don't think about is the time that we belittled our partner, the time we cursed them out, the time that we said something to them just because we were in a bad mood and having a bad day. Maybe you even yelled at them for trying to cheer you up because you were having a bad day. You maybe belittled their hobbies or talked about how their job doesn't make enough money. The list can go on and on. These negative reactions can actually cause other actions or reactions in your marriage. And in today's video, I want to get into why relationships are so damn hard. What's good, y'all? Tasha here. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here to this channel, first, welcome. On this channel, I give a lot of marriage advice, talk a lot about marriages who are separated, but you want to save your marriage and get back together. One argument, just one, can lead your partner to either ending a marriage, cheating, or have feelings of resentment. By the time we get to this point, we're then now trying to look back saying, how the hell did we even get to this point? We don't look at the mistakes that we made that got us here. So what we do is we try to fix something that may not even be broken. What I mean by this is you tend to look at the wrong thing, not the thing that put your relationship in the state that it's in now. A lot of us will even blame the problems on our spouse and not even take responsibility for the things that we've done. And then we go on this hamster wheel and we continue doing the same thing day in and day out. And then you're wondering, well, why isn't it working? We have to feel safe with our partner in order for us to be able to express how we are feeling in the relationship, what we are thinking in this relationship, and then being able to convey that to our partner. And if you feel like you cannot express yourself in your own relationship with the fear that your partner is going to blow up, or maybe you have a fear that they're just not going to understand, that's not good. I always say this, if you cannot feel vulnerable with your own spouse, who can you be vulnerable with? You're living with this person. You're with this person almost 24/7. You should be able to tell your spouse anything and everything. So if you can't even express how you feel or how you're thinking about a certain thing in your relationship, how can you expect your relationship to thrive? We may demand respect in a relationship. We all want to be respected. Nobody wants to be disrespected. But in order to get respect, you have to give respect. That's just my opinion. And if you're always arguing and you're not communicating with your spouse, how do you even expect to get respect if you don't even know how to properly communicate? You have to have trust and safety in your marriage for it to work. Communication as well. But to keep it together, it's trust and safety. If you are not emotionally safe in your marriage, of course physically safe too, but if you're not emotionally safe, there will be no trust. There can't be, because right there, if you feel you are not emotionally safe with your spouse, you are also showing that you don't trust them. You don't even trust them with your feelings. And that's why you can't tell them what's really going on in your head. You have to feel safe to express what you're feeling to your spouse and not have that fear of a blow up or have that fear of it turning into an argument because you are just trying to tell your spouse how you feel about a certain situation. Also, set goals in your marriage. We all have our individual goals. Everybody, we're not gonna have our same goals. Me and my husband don't have the same individual goals. But as far as our marriage is concerned, we have the same goals when it comes to our marriage and our family. And you have to ask yourself, what do you want from your marriage? Where do you want your marriage to go? How will you do the bills? How will you raise the kids? Even if you've been married to someone for years, you can still go back to the beginning and ask these questions. As we get older, sometimes the way we look at things changes. So in the beginning, you might have been like, we're gonna raise our kids this way. As you get older, you might change the way you even wanna raise your kids. So you have to set these goals with your spouse and work on them together. Another thing that I always ask people who email me and say that they wanna save your marriage, I always ask them why. The reason why I say, why do you want your marriage to work, is because you have to lead with that. Fixing your marriage isn't easy. It's really hard. And you have to keep that why in the front of your mind, because when it gets hard, you're gonna have to focus on that why to be like, this is why I want to save my marriage. And that why has to be strong enough for you to be able to get through those hard times. But going back to setting goals, we constantly set goals in our life. We always have this thing that we want to attain. Why can't we do the same thing in our marriage? What do you want to attain in your marriage? And set a goal for your marriage as well as your life. Me and my husband, we joked about this 5-year contract that we think that all marriages should have. That at 5 years, if it don't work out, bye. But maybe that's not a bad idea. Every 5 years, check, or you can do it sooner or later. Check in with your marriage. These goals that you have set for yourself at year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, are those goals lining up in your marriage? It's a way for you guys to keep constant communication and checking in with each other. It's almost like a marriage evaluation. At year 1, did you guys do everything that you said you were going to do before you hit year 1? In year 2, same thing. Year 4, same thing. Year 5, same thing. If you don't want to do it yearly, do it every 2 years or something like that, to where you're checking. You should be checking in with your spouse every single day. But I feel like if you make a contract with yourself, maybe with your spouse, that it'll help you to really stay on that path that you guys have designed for your marriage. Now, some of you may think I am crazy, but me and my husband actually did this at one point. When we decided to make things work, we really wrote down our goals for our marriage. And we were like, okay, we know that we want to be together for the long haul, and we had to go back. How do we do that? Where do we start? And we checked in with each other constantly to make sure that that thing that we wrote down for our marriage goals, that we made sure that we continuously stayed with it. Now, if you guys meet those goals, talk about them. Yay, celebrate. But if you didn't meet those goals, check in with each other and see where both of you fell short. And then you just say, what can I do to make it better? Don't be down on yourself. Don't belittle your spouse if they didn't meet the expectations that they had for the marriage, but talk to each other and say, okay, maybe we didn't meet our goals this year, but how can we work on it to make it better for next year? And it may or may not help. This is really just a suggestion, but I think that it's a way that you can really pay attention to your marriage. And it even might help you see areas where you fall a little short, and also how you can make better contributions to your marriage. When we go through problems, we always tend to just focus on the problems. We try to focus on all of them. If it's a lot going on in the marriage, then try to just focus on one at a time. Building trust in a marriage is hard, and it takes time, especially if your spouse did something that's going to betray your trust, or if you did something that betrayed your spouse's trust. Trust takes time to build. To create that emotional safety that I was talking about in your marriage, you have to listen to your spouse. Don't listen to reply, listen to understand, and then reply. A lot of times, and this is something that I do, and I'm trying to break this habit, is when I'm talking to people, a lot of times I'm listening to just reply, and I'm not listening to understand. And I do that a lot sometimes with my husband. And sometimes I have to just stop, listen to everything that he says, and then I'll reiterate to him what I heard to see if that was what he was trying to say to me. Your spouse wants to be validated. So validate them and let them know that if you're talking about a certain situation, you tell them, I hear you, I understand. Acknowledge their feelings, because sometimes we want to say men don't have feelings. They have feelings just like we have feelings. They may not express them the same way that we do, but they have feelings as well. Everybody wants to be heard when they're speaking. Everybody wants to be acknowledged. Everybody wants to be validated. It does not matter if you're married to a masculine man. It doesn't matter. He still has feelings. He still wants to be heard, and he still wants to be validated. Another thing I want to say is get rid of those toxic thoughts that you have about your spouse. Sometimes, our spouse's faults, we tend to bring them more to light. And sometimes we will do that to our spouse's face. We will bring it more to light to our spouse, and that's not good. You don't want your faults highlighted. So why are you highlighting your spouse's faults? You have to completely change the way that you think if you want your marriage to work. All those negative thoughts that you have about your spouse, try to flip them on their head and think of them in a positive way. For one, I used to always say that my husband was bad with money. And I had to change that way of thinking. My husband's not bad with money. He doesn't understand how to budget. So we can work together and learn how to better budget our finances. You may think that's still saying it's negative. It's not negative. You know that he has this problem. But instead of you just saying, he's just bad with money, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do everything, you try to put it in a way to where it's something that you guys can work on together. You might be good with money, but that doesn't mean that you fault him and you knock him down because he's not good with money. Find a way that both of you can work together in order to be better budget masters with your finances. It's all on how can you guys work together to make each other better. Also, when you guys are having certain conversations, watch your nonverbals. I know mine are completely bad. I could be talking to someone and they'll say something sideways and my face will say everything that I didn't say. And sometimes our nonverbals speak louder than what we didn't say. So sometimes when we're speaking to our spouse, even if it's a rough conversation, try your best to fix your nonverbals, because you don't want your spouse to be saying something and it's important to them, but because of your face, they're just like, oh, they don't care, or it's not important to you. And they're gonna feel some type of way. They may not bring that situation up again, even though it may be something that you guys do need to talk about. But because of your nonverbals, now they're just like, we're not even gonna have that conversation because she's not interested, she's not listening. So just be aware of your nonverbals. They're hard to fix, believe me, but just be aware of your nonverbals. Let your spouse know you guys are in this together, that no matter what, you're committed to them, and that you're gonna do everything in your power to make things better. They have to make that same thing as well, of course. But right now, if they're not consciously trying to save the marriage, you can still do all of this and save your marriage with them not even really being conscious about it. And when your partner does open up to you, especially if it's a problem that you guys have been having for a while, and they finally open up to you and say what is really on their mind and how they're feeling, thank them for opening up to you and let them know that you know that it was hard for them to open up to you and that you appreciate them for letting you know how you truly feel or how they truly feel. And don't do all of this just to be like, I just want to save my marriage, let things get back to normal. And then you kind of let all that hard work that you were doing and going through, you kind of let it just go to the wayside. Because sometimes we'll do that. We'll fight for our marriage, we'll do all this stuff, take all these courses, read all these books, watch all these videos to try to save our marriage. And then when we get our marriage back or our partner moves back in, it's like everything that we were doing and everything that we were learning goes right out the window. Why? Because you're not truly trying to change yourself. You're not truly trying to fix your marriage. You're just trying to put a Band-Aid over the situation. And the moment your spouse starts feeling unsafe again, the problems, and probably old problems, they're gonna start up again. And also doing all these things, it still may not necessarily save your marriage, depending on how adamant your husband is about getting a divorce. It's a start in the right direction. Your partner has to feel that you are changing, not pretending you're changing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I also want to talk about my free guide, How to Not Get Divorced. I actually updated my guide. The guide that I had before, it's still free, but the guide that I had before, it gave tips, but I feel like it needed more. So I went ahead and updated, and I added more tips on what you guys can do to save your marriage. It's the tips with some actionable steps that you guys can actually do in order to start saving your marriage and stepping in the right direction for your marriage. So the guide went from, I think, about 5 pages to maybe 8. It's a little bit longer, but like I said, it gives more actionable steps that you guys can take in order to save your marriage. I wanted to give a more valuable free guide versus the guide that I had. So for those that already have my other guide, I'm going to send out an email to the people that are actually on my email list and just give you the new guide. And for anybody else that want the new guide, just go ahead and sign up on the link below to get my How Not to Get Divorced guide. Also, I'm excited to say that I have written an ebook. The ebook is $15. I'll also put a link to the landing page that you guys can go and get and purchase my ebook. The ebook is called Don't Quit on Your Marriage. I decided to call it that because there's a lot of people just quitting on their marriage today, and I wanted to write something, not that long, it's only 32 pages, but I wanted to write something where people would really start looking at what is going on with their marriage. Right now, the book has 8 chapters, and the chapters are 1, growing apart, 2, budgeting and money, 3, arguing is not communicating, 4, lack of sex, 5, other difficult things that may happen in the relationship, 6, setting your foundations, 7, I go more in depth with emotional safety, and then 8 is charting the road ahead. And I wanted to talk about all the problems that people will say that they have in their marriage first, and then go into what you guys can do in order to get through all of those issues. This is the first edition. I'm keeping this book as a live book, meaning that I'm going to be updating it regularly, maybe adding chapters, maybe changing wording around. So this is the first edition. I just wanted to write it. I wanted to get it out. And like I said, it's $15. It's going to be linked below. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and purchase it. So again, I hope that this video brought you guys value. You can also watch my Save Your Marriage playlist, and I'll also link some videos that you guys can watch at the end of this video. Please, if you have any questions, comment below. I'm trying my best to get better at commenting. I'm replying back to my comments. I've been a little bit busy, so it's been hard, but that's no excuse. I need to get better and do better. So don't forget to hit that like button if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and remember, love yourself, adore yourself, and always be yourself. Thank you, and I hope I get to see you guys in my next video.